Welcome back to the channel.
Oh, snap.
And in this video we're going to be going over my matches from the Snowball Showdown Tournament. Snowball Showdown was an event that took place where you had to qualify into a top 16 bracket by playing a total of 7 matches. And we're going to go over those videos now. For my deck, I chose to go with the Zombies deck. One of the requirements for the event was that you had to have a card from either January or the December season. So I included Shou-Lao, who was the new season pass card that week that it came out, and I was trying him out in this deck basically. I didn't want to overthink too much as far as what kind of a deck I should set up, so I just kind of stuffed him into my Zombies deck because that's my favorite deck currently. And that's what this first match is. It looks like the opponent is playing a chamber ramp deck, which I also really enjoy as well. And I'm trying to do my best here to buff up my horde as much as I can, so then I can finish it off with a zombie giant man into absorbing man. Now I'm trying to figure out how Shou-Lao works exactly with the 2 cards, and which play line would be more optimal, whether if I should go with the double ZGM with absorbing man, or if I should try to go with a Shou-Lao play line. And I didn't get that many matches with this version of the deck when after I added Shou-Lao, so I wasn't too sure, so I just kind of stuck with my zombie play line here, and I was hoping for the best. And it looks like I was able to close it out with the double ZGM on one lane and the zombie horde on the other lane. So this was the first match. Now for this next match here, I'm gonna skip over some of the retreats and things like that, otherwise the video will be way too long. So in this next one, we both kind of decide to go all in. They snapped, and we're just gonna play this out, try to figure out, can I beat this chamber ramp? Now I have a little bit of a hurdle here with bar with no name. That's never a good location for either one of us, unless you have something negative like the hood or something like that you can use that as a positive for you and win that lane. But in this case, I also don't want to play on the vibranium mines because that's not beneficial to me. So it looks like I'm working that Shou-Lao with a double card with Kitty Pryde, and I'm gonna throw ZGM there so I can have the option of hopefully Shou-Lao. If not, absorbing man is always there as well. And they went with that electro. So yeah, it looks like I'm still hesitant as far as is Shou-Lao more power, or do I just go with a safe bet, which I know is going to work, which is that absorbing man copying ZGM. And I didn't want to risk it. I just knew that this was going to be a lot of power, so I was hoping that this would be it, and it barely was, but it did. It got the job done. Now this next opponent here, I think it says first name known or something like that. They have a discard deck, and here I am with my zombies, same game plan, trying to build up that horde as much as possible. I'm trying to win that rocket pad so I can get some extra power on the horde, and I get that. I throw my ZGM into absorbing man and just a little bit extra power with Kitty Pryde by their retreat. So I take that. In this one, we're in the Eternals art, so one of those 2 of those locations are gonna end up shutting down. So my idea here is, let me build up my horde once again. Always the game plan, right? At this point, I can, Shou-Lao is really like a secondary case of emergency type of a play line. I'm literally just playing my deck as best as I know it. I'm trying to figure out, which plane line would be best with zombie sentry there. And I go with that one. No, one more time. Grapple sentry. And do I throw Kitty Pryde for Shou-Lao or not? That's the question. 2 cards versus 3 cards. And I do not. I'm trying to buff up that Shou-Lao. They have Morbius there. They're probably going to try to build it up, maybe with like a Modoc or something. So we're both still fighting for that right location. Looks like they have the middle. So what is more beneficial to me, the Shou-Lao? It looks like it has to be that. Kitty Pryde into Shou-Lao. They already have that center lane. Dracula. But it looks like it's enough. 27 powers a lot versus their 20. And that does it. Okay, so for the next match here, which was the third one, I unfortunately missed it. I stepped out for a minute to grab some water. I came back and I was watching the stream. I didn't realize that the match were up. So I missed it. I was late for that one, so I got disqualified. So here's the one after that, which is with Jace. And I am, doing my best here to try to get my horde out. Unfortunately, I discovered that Jace is a Stardust player. And Stardust just completely destroys my whole deck just by themselves. For you that don't know, Stardust is a 4/6 who's an ongoing, and it says cards cannot be added to locations except by playing or moving them. So the horde cannot be added if Stardust is out on the field. I do have Red Guardian, but Red Guardian has to basically hit Stardust by itself. Like if there's another card next to Stardust, because Stardust is the 4/6, they'll take the hit for Stardust. So it's almost like a card that doesn't really have like a counter. I will have to run like a rogue to try to steal the ongoing or something like that. So yeah, that card just completely shuts down my deck. And just lost that whole first match once Stardust comes out. Now anytime that I'm able to get the horde out, then I actually have a fighting chance, and that's what's happening here in this match. Now I should have snapped last round and I did not, so they retreated, and which was smart of them. It's a good thing to do in that situation. I should have snapped before that, knowing that I pretty much had it in the bag. And this one's also a tough one. I get bar with no name once again, and the horde chooses to go there. If the horde had gone to the left, it would have gotten destroyed anyway, so it was a bad draw all around for me in general against this match. And little by little, Jace starts to dwindle me down. I had to retreat multiple times. Just it happens in the game. Sometimes you just get a bad draw. And on the last one, Stardust comes down before I'm able to put out the horde with Zombie Scarlet Witch, and that's basically the end of my deck for the most part. Hopefully I can use that second play line, which is Shou-Lao, and that's what I'm going to try to do to see if, like, okay, so I can't run zombies, can I at least try to buff up Shou as much as possible? And it looks like that's basically my only option now. I don't have Absorbing Man, and hopefully I can get an Absorbing Man to try to buff up the Shou-Lao once more. But it's just, I'm at the mercy of the game, and Abs does come out. Now, yeah, that's basically the only thing I can think of. Nothing else is going to work. I can't trigger Zombie Giant Man. He's useless. Now, I could have Red Guardian the Stardust, but for what? It's the last round at this point. It's basically the only thing I could do, and I did end up taking it by double buffing that Shou-Lao. So I won that match there. But following match, once again, Stardust. It just completely stops me from being able to place a horde. I basically have to get lucky and put either Zombie Fantastic or the Hunger before turn 4, which is when Stardust comes down. And if they have the priority, then that's basically it. Stardust reveals first, and even if I'm already going to put a horde, it's just too late at that point. And in this match, I'm trying to do the same thing here with Shou-Lao, but unfortunately I was not able to. Okay, moving on to round number 5, and in this match is against Tantrum. And once again, I'm trying to put out my horde, try to build up my ZGM as quickly as possible. And in this stage of the match, I'm trying to figure out what deck they have, right? Looks like Cosmic Ghost Rider came down and deleted my Scarlet Witch there. And I'm also experimenting with Wingbeat. I had just recently gotten the card, so You know, it looks nice to be able to see Sentry with a little bit more power there. I feel like he's still slightly undertuned. I feel like Zombie Sentry maybe needs to either just get one more point of power, and I would even have Zombie Scarlet Witch put out a horde with 1 power as well. I think she's a slightly... I don't think she should be a 2. I think she's fine at a 3 cost, but she definitely should be able to pop up a horde by herself. And we took that first match there. Barely. Shadow King wasn't able to take it. Kitty Pryde had our back. And Zombie Giant Man able to hold it down by themselves. Alright, we're just having an emote party here. It's always good when you get a fellow snapper that gets the emoting. Not only emoting is toxic. And it looks like they're ready to go all in. And I wasn't too sure on that snap, right? And like, yeah, we're cool, but we're still in a tournament. So I retreated just because I needed a second to breathe there. And maybe they got something that, you know, really benefited them with that location. So next match, we got the Gamma Lab activated. We got a couple Hulks out there. Feeling pretty confident with that right lane, and our horde went down in the middle, which is what we want. I'm afraid of that Cosmic Ghost Rider to deactivate my Zombie Fantastic. So I wanted to put out that power, but then I didn't. And then I realized I probably should. And then we threw the Hunger out with ZGM, you know, for either the middle or the left. You know, I'm not really caring what they're doing. The right lane is taken already, and I'm going to win either middle or left at this point. Shadow King goes down the middle, resetting me, but because I had priority, I'm able to retain all the power. And Shou-Lao having our back as well. So we take that match. Okay, moving on to round 6. Sato looks like it's the opponent. And, you know, good old classic zombies out there putting out the horde. Now they flipped the board on us with a Quantum Tunnel. But I do have Red Guardian, I do have Zombie Sentry, and Merlin is on the board while we're triggering the horde with the Scarlet Witch. So that's the play line on this first match of ours. Oh, beautiful. We get Zombie Fantastic to even give us more buff up on that horde. Yikes, now him is a little dangerous. But not that it matters at this point. So we trigger the Zombie Fantastic into our ZGM all the way to the left. You know, I like that play line as far as building 2 lanes, and then in the last turn I'll go for the 3rd lane just in case. That's exactly what happened there, right? Shadow King goes to get my horde, but because I have priority, I'm able to secure it with ZGM on the left once again. We go down to the next one. They look pretty confident there, or it could have been a rage snap, but they wanted to snap on that. And my goal here is once again, you know, getting that horde as high as possible. And Merlin does provide some support as well for the Shou-Lao 1-2 trigger. This is pre-nerf Merlin, and I don't like saying that word because he didn't get nerfed, he got normalized. So he was a 2-3 at this time, so you know, he's still a pretty powerful card. And at this point I kind of gave up on the Shou-Lao route, and I'm just building that horde as much as possible because I do have ZGM to have my back in the last round. And we are going to a limbo game, but I can always remove the limbo as well. But that is a tricky play line, right? And this is kind of the crossroads. Am I going to go with that play line where I remove limbo and maybe into Shou-Lao, or do I continue on to turn 7 with ZGM? And because they snap, it makes me a little bit worried. Like, what are they having in mind? What are they going to do? And it looks like I'm going to go for that Shou-Lao route and not remove limbo. Okay, we build a little bit more horde stock there. ZGM in the middle, and that does it. So we were able to take out our opponent in that round as well with our zombies. And here we are, our final match, the 7th match. Now this is the very last one. It has been a gruesome battle. We've been going back and forth. This opponent does have Stardust in their lineup, and that's been, you know, the one factor that has just completely ruined my deck in this tournament. Is just that one card alone. Every match that I've had where my opponent doesn't have Stardust, we're good, we're able to have a competitive match. But the moment the Stardust shows up, it just kind of shuts me down. And this is what it's come down to. We are both at our last leg. I have been utilizing Shou-Lao throughout this entire set, and that's how I've been getting a few wins here and there. I didn't want to have the video be too long, so I just wanted to narrow it down to the very last match that we're having here. And there comes Stardust once again, stopping my horde. And that's the story of the day for me. You know, the moment that Stardust comes down, it just kind of stops what I'm trying to do, which forces me to try to figure out what to do next. And here's an example, right? What is Red Guardian going to do? I can't stop Stardust because they have another card there that's going to take the hit, because Stardust is such a high power. They're a 4/6. So that doesn't do anything for me. I can't stop Stardust this round to then be able to try to come back in the 6th round, or turn, I should say. And I'm just guessing at this point, you know, hopefully I'm able to do this. You know, that thing, First Steps, is very scary up there. They're most likely going to destroy one of my cards. So I'm just going to hope for the best and buff up that Shou-Lao. And then this Merlin, right? But mathematically, even if the thing destroys Zombie Fantastic, it's the 2 points would still have me have lost. And, you know, they destroyed a higher card, but I was dead anyway. So that was the end of my run in the tournament. Overall, I was able to collect 51 points, but it was not enough to make it to the top 16. And then the tournament went down to the top 4. These are the top 4 decks here. As you can see, you know, most people were playing with Shou-Lao. You had to have, you know, one of the new cards, the other one being Maverick. And this is the champion, Omalas. This is the deck. Now, I love what Second Dinner is doing here, where they took these cards and they put it up in the game to allow players to be able to purchase the cards, except for the season pass, of course, which is understandable. I thought it was a great idea. I think Second Dinner needs to do more of that. That was a nice touch. Good job there, guys. Overall, I had a great experience playing in this tournament. You know, I learned some things. And I did have a good time. It was a long day, but we made it through. This is the deck that I use, you know, my zombies deck. Overall, thank you once again for sticking to the very end. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will check you guys out in the next one. Take care, everyone.